everyone, it's Dana here with Love Soul Flowers, and it's good to see you this week. So last week, like every Thursday, we had a storm again in New Jersey, and it's so crazy because I try to do the tutorials on Thursday nights, and we've been having crazy weird tornado warnings and everything, and it always happens on Thursday nights, so it's a little crazy. That's why we missed last week. And I'm sorry for you guys who like wait for Thursday nights, but you gotta tell New Jersey weather to chill out because it has been crazy here. Literally every Thursday is when we get a storm, but today was good. So there is no tornado happening this week, but here we are. We are still having a sale. Right now it's 60% off a regular Solar Flowers, and the code is fall60. So this one does require a coupon code, so make sure when you get to your cart at the end, you put in the coupon code fall60 so you get your discount, and that is that. If you have a wholesale account, you can sign in your wholesale account and you'll always get the cheapest price that we have. What else? Any other news or goodies? If you are new to Solar Flowers and you're not part of our community group, join us there. It is facebook.com/groups/Love Solar Flowers, and you get to share. We get to give advice and tips and tricks to each other, encourage each other too. You know, I like it to be a little personal in that group as well. Obviously, we want to be able to share our struggles with business and such, and even in our personal lives. But it's more just to encourage each other as, you know, a community of people who share a common hobby. Or if you're a bride and you're wanting to learn how to do things and you just need some tips, we are there for you as well. So again, that's facebook.com/groups/Love Solar Flowers. And then obviously this business page is got all our videos on it, but because Facebook doesn't let us title our videos, we also have a YouTube channel now as well. So our Love Solar Flowers does have a YouTube channel so that you can search the titles of the tutorials that you like. So just follow our channel or subscribe. I guess on YouTube it's called subscribing. You want to subscribe to our channel so that you can just go through every video and you can search through the channel itself to find videos, because Facebook took away the ability to label each video. So we know it's hard to find on Facebook. So make sure you check us out on YouTube, where we have all our videos for the last couple of years on there. So there's a lot of things in there that you don't want to miss out. All the accessories to your weddings, how to make quick bouquets, and of course we do a lot of home decor as well. So I know a lot of you guys are having fall shows, and I do like a little bit of this, I call it like a rehab type thing. I think rehabbing items that already have kind of something put together is always good for craft shows, because you don't have to spend a ton of money and time to get faster and done more pieces. Okay, so if you're doing craft shows and you need 100 pieces, you can't start everything from scratch and, you know, not kill yourself sometimes. So I do like to take things that kind of have something started and we add to it. And so I wanted to show you. It's pretty big, so it's hard to see on the full screen, but let me just show you what I've got here. It is a pumpkin wreath. Can you see it? Okay, so it's a big pumpkin, and it had some other stuff on it that I cut off. So all the really cheapy things I always cut off, and I leave kind of what I think I can work with. So we are going to make a fall thing. So if you were starting from scratch and all you had was the wreath part, the basics that we're going to be doing are going to be the same as if you had nothing on here. We always kind of do the same steps to get to the same place, but I did leave on some of these little weird folly things that are already on it. It had some cheapy flowers on it I cut off. I do think this was from Big Lots if you're looking for something similar. And then we're going to get started. So again, we are having our sale. It's at lovesolarflowers.com. Fall60 is the coupon code, so make sure you put that in before you check out, just to make sure you get that discount. All right, so I got my clippers going. I have... so this is actually going to go, I'm actually doing this for myself, from my front door, because I like to use different ones each year. If you're going to be doing something on your door, outdoors, where the weather, you know, kind of get to it, I do suggest you use faux fillers, as well as using dried if you're gonna use a reel, dried as opposed to preserved. So, you know, sometimes we get calls not calls, but messages in, you know, saying that some of the preserved stuff bled because of the temperatures, and that can happen under extreme heat. Or what happens too is if it's extreme cold and it freezes, when it melts, it could bleed. So things that are outside, you've got to be careful for things that are going to be in direct elements. And when it's on your door, that temperature, you know, it can get to some of that preserved stuff. So try to stick with like faux fillers plus dried fillers. And if you use the dried, like I said, the glycerin is not in there like a preserved is. So you're not going to have to worry so much about, you know, bleeding or something like that. So it doesn't get damaged fast in the cold. So, you know, these things, our flowers are fine in all the temperatures. It's more of the wetness of it and everything. So if you are going to be putting it on your door and it doesn't have a screen or a glass window in front of it, then you're going to want to spray it with a sealant so that the flowers are coated. So there's something called polyacrylic sealant spray, and you can spray it on top so that it doesn't get messed up. All right, so we're going to start with our base, and we always do our leafy greens first. So I just do a whole lot of glue. You can, if you are in a windier type area, I have an overhang on my porch, but you can use zip ties, floral wire, or floral tape if you feel like you're in the type of weather that might get blown around here a little bit stronger than glue might do. But what I'm doing right now is I'm just adding a bed of greens. So when you're doing something like this, you always want to start with a base of something. So I'm going to start with a base of greens, and I am going to just kind of pull through that back stuff just so that it doesn't just look like I'm sitting it on top of it. But we always work with our base first, and then we move towards kind of building on top of that. So I'm going to add this to both sides, and I just kind of look where I want to stick it first, so that once I get the glue on, I'm not in a panic to race and figure out where I'm going to put it. So I kind of know where I'm going, and I just kind of stick it in the sticks of this here. You can do this this is how you would do a regular wreath as well, not just, you know, a pumpkin shape, obviously. Always thinking about giving yourself something to stick the flowers to. Because if you hot glue onto silk as opposed to just the sticks, it always absorbs and holds better. So, thanks, Carol. So we have some fall flowers, colored flowers actually for this today too, and I'm excited about that. So again, I want to make a bed of greens. I don't want to cover up the pumpkin too much, so I'm just checking to see if we need all of this. But let me just get this here. All right. So again, when you hot glue onto something like silk, like a silk leaf, if the flower is glued to that, the glue actually absorbs into the silk, and it's very actually hard to even pull apart, even when you want to, because sometimes I try to pull things apart and like maybe I want to change colors or something, and it's just like not possible when you glue into silk. So again, I took what was there and I've kind of incorporated it into my greens, and so I have a bed of greenery. So basically we just got our leafy greens, and now we're just gonna add our flowers next. After we add our flowers, that's when we'll do our little fun fillers kind of thing. And I've got 3 of those. Now, for something like this, a round wreath even, anything like that, you want to use your bigger, bulkier flowers towards the center, and you always taper out to smaller flowers. You don't want to have big flowers on the ends of your pieces because it looks weird when you go like the opposite direction. So you're wanting to focus, I'm going to pull out all my bigger flowers here. You're going to want to focus your bigger flowers towards the center of your piece, and then you're going to taper out into smaller pieces. Now I've got some fall colors, some corals and some reds and some browns, and I'm just going to start, and I always start in my center of my like what I call like my bulkier section, like my fuller area. We're gonna start there, and then we'll work our way out. So I'm just adding hot glue to the bottom of my flower, and I just glue directly to it. Now I do add a lot of glue. So I know some of you think, oh, you know, should I wire it? Should I stem it? Should I do all this stuff? If you put tons of glue, it is usually fine. I've never had something fall apart. In fact, like I said, sometimes I even try to purposely take things apart, and it doesn't work because it soaks in so much. So again, I am very heavy-handed on my glue. I'll show you. Do not be scared. Do not be scared to use a ton of glue. I do go through a lot of glue sticks, but hey, I know nothing's moving. So what we're gonna do is we work off the bundle. So you're gonna kind of tilt your flowers. You don't ever want things lined up in a straight line, okay? Because naturally in nature and things like that, flowers aren't just boop, 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 boop. You don't want to just make this weird line. I do see sometimes people doing that, and I think that it's just because your nature is to kind of line things up and be symmetrical and things, but you do want to tilt your flowers and kind of tuck them under each other and make little groupings as opposed to just making a line. So I'm just going to do a little asymmetrical. I'm not symmetrical in most of my designs. If you do like symmetrical, you can still be symmetrical without making it like just lined up like you pasted some glue on the top. I mean, pasted some flowers on the top of the thing here. So I'm just building off of this one center. So my biggest flower is my starting point, and then I start to build out using smaller and smaller flowers as I go. Again, it's always best to taper as opposed to having chunky flowers on the end. Thank you. We're getting there. It's always fun when you add the fillers at the end, but we have to go step by step. You know, don't rush the process necessarily. Wreaths do take some time. You know, they're actually one of the things that take me the longest to do, even though I can do them pretty quick, just because I'm used to doing them. They do take a while because, you know, placement and things like that. But, and I do like to make sure they're nice and full. So, and then also you can get some layering going on here too. So don't be scared to layer up and make it a little bit more 3D-ish, I guess is what the word would be, because again, you don't want it so flat and lined. You're gonna want to make sure you have evenly distributed colors. Obviously, you're not wanting a big patch of red or you know, the same color just stacked all in a ball. You're gonna want to separate those out. And so I'm just filling with my big flowers, and this is going to be my base. Now, if you notice, I'm going to hold it up for you. I did not do it directly in the center. I am a little bit off the center. I always think things that are a little bit off are better than trying to get it perfectly matched in the center. So as you can see, I made my own little bundle. Thank you. See my own little bundle here. And now I'm gonna get my smaller flowers. So these are all 3-inch flowers. So this bundle is 3-inch. And now I'm gonna add some of my 2-inch flowers. Let's pull those out as we go along. So I'm gonna do my 2-inch flowers, and then we will end with all our little minis. I don't know how many I'm gonna need of these. Let's see. I don't need to go crazy, but I do wanna see some colors. Let's use one of these. Let's do one of each of these colors that I have here. And I'll put these ones away. Okay? It's not that big of a wreath that I want to go crazy. So I'm going to start lifting the leaves up a little bit. I love grapevine wreaths too. But when I start putting these down, I want to make sure, again, that I'm not sticking it down directly onto the leaves. I want to kind of lift the leaves up so it looks like it's a part of what I'm making, not just flopped on the top. So these are all wood flowers. They are dyed. They are all from Love Sola Flowers. That's our website. If you're new to Sola Wood Flowers, our website is Love Sola, S-O-L-A, woodflowers.com. We're having a sale. Right now the coupon code is fall60, It's crazy if you've never experienced a wood flower. Let me just show you. They are soft and squishy and flexible. They're not like carved out of a tree. They're from a plant called a shola plant, and they are actually there's a starchy plant, so it stays squishy. If you paint them, you know, they can get a little brittle, so we add glycerin into the mix just to keep them so they're a little bit squishy still. But it's always fun to experiment a little bit with different types of things with these flowers. But these are all from Love Sola. And, you know, we do appreciate, you know, your patience as some things are selling out and we're just waiting for our stock. As many as you know, if you watch the news at all, you know, international shipping is pretty delayed right now. So we're waiting for things as patiently as you are or as impatiently as you are as well. And we appreciate you guys giving us some grace as we wait for the things that we can't control as well. And we know it is not easy to see things that are sold out, but you know, we're patiently waiting for things to come as well. So we do feel, as you know, the second it comes in, we get it up on the website for you guys to purchase. And I'm just making sure this is separated. So they do not come dyed. We have videos on how to dye. So again, you can, the business page that you're watching this video on, there is a lot of videos on it, but Facebook doesn't allow us to label them anymore. So if you're looking for specific things like how to dye a solo wood flower, visit our YouTube channel. So again, our company is Love, L-U-V, Sola, S-O-L-A, wood flowers. And you go onto YouTube and you can find all of our videos there with the titles, and you're able to do that. Yeah, so they're, there. And our warehouse is in California, and the shipping containers are there, but, you know, we're waiting. Also, if you're new and you're wanting to work with these, you can join our community group. I did say it at the beginning, but our community group is facebook.com/groups/lovesolaflowers. And that also gives you kind of just a community of sisters who love the same hobby, who love to encourage each other, and we make sure that it stays a positive place. We don't let anyone kind of start drama or put people down. We want it to be a place where everybody feels encouraged and can grow. So join that if you haven't. I believe this is from Big Lots. I went shopping for a bunch of fall stuff, and I'm pretty sure that's where I settled. So again, I'm kind of making this massive amount of bigger flowers, and then when I get to my minis, so our mini flowers are 1 and 1.5 inch flowers. So when you're searching for minis, you can look at the flower styles you like, and you just see what size they come in. And if you want them little bitties, you get the 1 or the 1.5 inches. I love minis for fillers, for corsages, for boutonnieres, and so I do keep a good stock of minis. And as you can see, I'm just kind of inserting them. I'm not laying them just flat against the wreath. And I see a lot, and this is not to put down anybody or anything like that. Again, we want to be encouraging to everyone, but I do see a lot of beginners just kind of lining flowers up, you know, around the rim, and they line it up, and it's pretty, but I think that you can give something a little more oomph if you do more of this layering type style where things are kind of coming at you a little bit more 3D, a little thicker, a little staggered, and a little less symmetrical, and it gives you some more life to your piece. So I'm gonna put this last flower and I'm gonna turn it around. I don't have any raw flowers, so I know you were asking some of you newer people about the dyed flowers. So they come, when they come, here, I have one here. When they come, they're this color. I'm gonna show you. So this is what they look like when they come to you. Oop. We suggest using indoor house paint for the most coverage. We do know a lot of people use acrylics and love acrylics. All of the ones I use in my tutorial are dyed with Behr brand paint. That's Home Depot's indoor house paint. But you can use other brands, but we just noticed that usually the latex gives you more coverage, and the container's, you know, big enough to do a bunch of flowers. So again, this is how it comes. And then these have been dyed with paint. It's a paint and water mixture along with a bloop of glycerin to keep them nice and soft. But let me just show you what I got going on here. So as you can see, I layered it. Now, again, right now it looks like a pile of flowers because we haven't come back with our fillers yet, and that was gonna be our last step. But first I wanna add my minis. So if you're just tuning in, we made a bed of greenery on our wreath first. That's always the first step, is to kind of put your greeneries down first. And then we start with our biggest flowers in the center. And again, I didn't actually center it, but the center of my collection of flowers. The bigger flowers go, which are 3-inch flowers. Those are our largest size flowers. And then I did 2-inch flowers as we moved out. And now I'm gonna add my little babies to the end. And these are flowers that are either 1 inch or 1.5 inch, but I did have, just laying around actually, some hydrangea pieces from before. Our hydrangeas are sold out now, but when they come back in stock, grab them because they make really great minis if you take them apart actually. So that is what I did here. And I'm gonna just add these little pieces. And again, we like things to taper out. So we started with a pile of flowers that were a little bit bigger, and now we are moving out the edges, which gives a little bit more shape and detail, you know, with the babies coming out. So I only want to do one little guy on this side because it's pretty full over that way. Again, I do asymmetrical, and I do a little bit off to the side. So I'm going to add my minis, and then we're actually all done with the flower part. And then we're going to get to the fun fillers. I'm just using regular hot glue. If you are doing outdoor, and you have Gorilla Glue sticks, they do have hot glue sticks that are Gorilla Glue, and those stick like the dickens. So if you want to use those instead of just regular hot glue, if it's still hot, months even for where you're at, you know, that might hold a little bit better. But I've never, ever, ever had a wreath give me a problem. And as we know, New Jersey has been having some crazy rainy weather, but I've never had any problems with wreaths falling apart just because I use massive amounts of glue. Yeah, I love the Gorilla Glue too. So there are some projects that it's just needed. So, okay, so let me just flip it around. So we're done with the flower part. As you can see, like I said, we started with our biggest flowers, which are 3-inch flowers in the center. Then we moved to 2-inch flowers around it, and look, see how it's layered? Let me show you from the side. Do you see how it's layered? It's not just stuck on flat. I layered the 2-inch flowers, and then the little baby flowers come at the end, and that gives it a nice full center, and it tapers it out to the ends, which always makes it more balanced of a look. Instead of having big chunky flowers on the end, it looks like there's something missing. So now we're gonna go in with some fun fillers. Again, usually I go for dried. Caspia is okay for New Jersey weather, even though it's preserved. I love the look of Caspia, especially in these fall pieces. If you are just trying Caspia, you know, we do get messages asking us why. It's a little stinky, but it is a plant, so there's, you know, nothing you can do. It's the smell of the plant. Some people are more sensitive to smells, we've noticed. I am so used to it, it doesn't bother me. When I first started using it, I was like, all I could do is smell Caspia in my house, but I really don't even smell it anymore. The smell will subdue over time. I'm just breaking off some of these heads over here. This has already been torn at. So just so you know, this is not how it comes to you. This has just been used because you only need little pieces of it. So, you know, it lasts a long time. But don't get worried about it. I know a lot of people go, oh, it stinks. Is something wrong with it? No, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just a real plant. And so, you know, some real plants don't smell like flowers. So, but it is beautiful. And I wanted to use this kind of burgundy-ish type color. I can't remember if this is called wine or burgundy on the website, but it's definitely more of a winey color. Yeah, and Callie, you could also spray it with a sealant. That could tone down the smell a little bit. I know a lot of people even spray it with Febreze, but we want you to just be not worried that it's like rotten. I think so. I mean, it doesn't smell rotten, but we want you to know that we understand that it has a smell. And there's nothing we can do to take away the smell of a plant, because the plant smells like a plant smells. The same way that our juniper and our eucalyptus, they all have smells. It's just the nature of using real stuff. So our lavender smells, but it smells really good. But we do have a lot of preserved and dried fillers that make everything feel real. Like if you have a bouquet, obviously if you use real lavender in it, it's really gonna smell real. So those are the smells we love. But Caspia can be one of those that we don't necessarily love the smell of. But again, you do start to get used to it. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I definitely am not bothered by it anymore. But we just want to make sure that if you buy the Caspia, you're not concerned by the fact that it's a teeny bit stinky. So I'm just breaking up pieces of the heads off of this, filling in some spots, and then I have a couple other fillers we're going to add before we call it a day. I do like to have a nice full wreath on my door at least. You can go for simpler, obviously, but I like to just kind of keep going with fillers because it's just my style. And since it's going to go on my door, I'm just going to keep adding until it's really full. Okay, so I've got my Caspia. So again, once we do fillers, we always start with the leafier type fillers. So once we have our bed of greens, then we go to our leafier type fillers or our fuller type fillers. So my Caspia is my fuller filler of the night. And then I'm gonna add some star flowers, which is one of my all-time favorite fillers, especially for the fall. And it comes like this, and we're just gonna break little bundles. And I thought the yellow would be really pretty. Because I've got all these kind of deeper, darker fall colors. And so we make a little bundle, and I'm going to just swirl a little hot glue in there, and I'm going to make the bundle. And just kind of insert those and let that yellow kind of be a little pop. So I do like to, hey Tina, I do like to have a little pop of color since we're not doing any raw in this. It could get a little dark if you didn't, be careful with, I mean, not that dark is bad, so, but I like to just bring a little bit of brightness. And so I glue those little bundles. I'm just going to put them in a couple different places. If you're joining us again now, for the first time, we're having a 60% off sale right now. That is at lovesoloflowers.com, and fall60 is the coupon code. I'm just going to slide these and tuck these in just to a couple of different places. And then I have one more filler that I'm going to use for this. It's a little bit more of a neutral color so that it brings in a little bit of neutrals in there. But I do like the fall. I usually use raw flowers almost in every project, but for the fall, I don't really mind it being a little bit darker of the rich kind of jewelry toned fall stuff. So I didn't use any for that reason, because I don't necessarily want to brighten it up with the whitish of, the ivoryish of the raw flowers. So I purposely just picked colors. So I'm literally just making these bundles and finding little gaps to stick them in. I don't really have like a rhyme or reason. I know some people are like, well, why do you put it here? Or why do you? And I don't really have a reason. I just kind of find a gap and stick it on in there. And if you just keep going, you'll fill in all your gaps, and then you'll be good. All right, let me just look at it real fast, and then I'll tilt it to you. If you are joining us for the first time as well, these little glue strings, you can hit them with a heat gun or a hair dryer on the hottest setting, and it dissolves them, the ones that are like floating in the air. So here we are, we filled with Caspia and with the star flower. See that pop of yellow does it good. And now I'm just going to use Phalaris. So You can get all of these fillers that I'm using tonight on the website. And this is just natural Phalaris. And I thought maybe just the natural color of these might be cute. So I have these, and what I do is I make sure my little bundles that they're not all the same height, okay? Because I don't want it to look like just a blob of fillers. So I do put them at different heights. And I'm gonna do the same thing and tuck them into gaps. I'll show you again how I do these little bundles, okay? Let me show you again. So let's say I break off some bundles. I'm gonna have one that's taller and then like, you know, see? So it's not just like a big bloop of one filler. I like it to be, you know, a little bit. So, and I'm just finding some spots. I usually do in at least 3 sets of 3, these kind of things. 2 sometimes look like bunny ears. And then, you know, you can go 3 or more. A lot of times they say do things in odd numbers. So I do like to not just do 2, because I always feel like it could look like little ears or something, like you're trying to make a little animal or something. I don't know. Let me just find a couple more spots for these, and then we'll be done. So again, if you're just tuning in, we do have a YouTube channel that you can watch these videos once we share them onto our YouTube channel, and you can search better there because Facebook took away the ability to search by title, which is really annoying, but it did help us get the YouTube channel started up and ready to go. So check us out there, and you can search the titles. So I'm just gonna do a couple more of these bundles. We started with the bed of greens, just like a salad, you know, like you do your salad, you do your greens first, then you do like your, you know, chicken and your thicker things, and then you move to like your little things, like, you know, little cut carrots. So sometimes I think of it like that. Basically, it's like making a salad, having a base of something helps first. And let me see, I gotta look at it real fast, my direction. I want something down here. And then I will show it to you. Okay, so again, leafier all the way down to little cute, cutesy, ootsy fillers. And then also with the flowers, again, starting with the thicker, bigger flowers, the 3-inch flowers, moving to the 2-inch, and then ending up with the little minis also gives it. Now, look at my siding. I want you to see my side view. Do you see how 3D and full this is? So when you're making your wreaths, again, guys, don't just stick a flower flat down so that you just have a line of flowers. Look at how I've incorporated the flowers tilted to make this fully, like, let me turn it your way. Look. See the flowers, how they're layered, how I've tilted the heads of them. They're not all straight. They go side to side. So you can see how thick and full that is on this flat wreath, obviously. And it gives it more life because, again, it's not just some symmetrical piece of, you know, plopped down flowers. So I do have a bunch of different colors here. No rhyme or reason, like none of them are like, I don't think any 2 are the same. I used like extra ones I had from weddings, and basically this one actually has a little white spot that was bothering me. So I just used a bunch of fall colors. I think that's what's really fun about the fall is that like you don't have to have like like an actual plan of what colors. I think you can just pick a bunch of fall colors and they just all look good together. So if I'm actually fixing a white spot at the bottom of my peony, I guess when it opened, it made a white spot. So I'm just gluing it so that you can't see the white down in it. It's a little trick. If you have like a little white spot from when you dyed it, you know, just take the glue gun and pull a petal and glue the petal over it so you don't see it anymore. Just do a little bit of, instead of like throwing it away or trying to have to use a paintbrush, I just glue it and then I don't worry about it because it'll be covered forever. I mean, you could take more time to just dye it in the beginning, but some of these flowers, when they open up, they they leave a white spot because they open. So I am going to have to shoot this with hot air from a blow dryer because, you know, things like wreaths and boxes and stuff tend to get a lot of webs because you're going back and forth with your gun. So you're like making these little strings of glue. So I know that the strings of glue creeps Sultan out. Like he hates the strings of glue. That's a secret. I'm going to tell you. Don't tell him I told you that he is totally creeped out by glue webs. And it's so funny. I think it's so funny, like as if it were like a spider web or something. But he hates them. And I sometimes forget to do it, and I bring out, like, you know, to give to a customer, and I'm like, oh my gosh, all this glue, and I totally forgot to shoot it. So make sure you melt those glue strings away before you send it off. Okay, I fixed this guy. Trying to get away some glue for now, and then I will hold it up one more time. Again, just the idea of layering glue hairs, I know, because you can't get rid of them. It's like glitter. You know how you keep trying to get rid of glitter, and it never goes away? Well, that's kind of how these silly webs are. But if you can see, just a mixture of fall colors, starting with that big leafy thing. Let's see if I can show you the whole thing. It's pretty big, actually. I will take a picture and I'll post it in the group so that you can see a little bit better, you know, than so close, because it's really big. It's actually a very, very big wreath. And I don't think it was too expensive. Let me see if the price is on it. No, the price is on it. I don't think it was that expensive. But again, if you're just adding some flowers and some greens, then you're like, okay, like I don't mind spending $25 if all I'm going to spend is, let's say, $10 of supplies, and then you're going to sell it for $85. So, you know, sometimes when you need to get something done fast, it's not always bad to do a rehab type thing. And especially too, if you're doing a show where you need a million pieces, you know, like don't feel bad to do rehabs, because obviously you're putting your own spin on it, and you don't have to feel bad. I know some people are like, well, I didn't make it from scratch, so I feel like I didn't make it. Like, this did not look like this when I started, so I did make it, you know? And I don't feel guilty about leaving some of those leaves on. I just don't. So you shouldn't either feel guilty about leaving things on and just kind of updating stuff, if that's just going to save you time and energy. And especially because this is for my door, I didn't want to spend a lot of time and energy on it. So we didn't. I used leftover flowers from weddings, and I used just a couple fillers, and we did it, all that. So again, making sure you're full and not just lined is kind of the takeaway for the day, is to build, you know, bigger to smaller, both with your fillers and with your flowers, and then not to line them up in a straight line, but to kind of alternate them and make these little bundles as you create from your center moving out. So those are the takeaways for tonight on how to make a wreath nice and full and exciting, and we would love to see your fall wreaths. So please join our group. It's facebook.com/group/lovesoloflowers. Post your fall wreaths. I would love, love, love to see what everyone creates. So yeah. So so everyone else, have a great weekend. I'm glad to see you this week. Again, last week we had crazy weather again in New Jersey. My electricity always flickers in and out, and so it's crazy on days where we have storms. But I am very excited to be back with you this week, and hopefully we will see you next week. I am counting on good weather. Fingers crossed that we're not going to have any more storms. So everyone, make sure you get the sale. Again, coupon code is fall60. Bye, everyone.